how official we are.
What the junk?
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Brad.
So I'm Brad from Junk King Toledo.
And I'm Jen with Jen Hill Organizing.
And we have a special guest.
We do.
My sister, Ashley.
Hi, everyone.
And I guess you're not. I mean, you're kind of with something. You work at Hamilton College.
I do.
Yeah.
I work at Hamilton College.
Yeah, with college students.
I do.
Which is exciting. Mm-hmm. So I would like to say that my sister drove here just to be on this podcast, but it's not true. So, but
it was a big part of it.
While she was here, I'm making her do this. But her future fame will definitely be because of this podcast.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
So I think we're going to talk about a couple things, right? So we brainstormed, we came up with an outline, so we knew exactly what we were going to say, but we didn't. And so I think one of the things we're going to talk about is you got to do a project with Jen, which was organizing our mom's closet, which she was very excited about. She'll be very excited. We talked about her on this episode.
Hi, Mom.
She
Hey,
listens to everyone and gives me feedback on how good it was. So
It's only positive feedback.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Our mom
You're
would not
perfect.
tell us anything that wasn't. So
No.
yeah.
So sweet. Yeah, no, it was
So
a
tell
lot
me
of
about
fun.
that.
Yeah.
So we did a virtual session together. So I was on the FaceTime, Google, because I don't have an iPhone. Sorry, everybody. Not sorry. But yeah, we just kind of worked on one of her closets.
We did. She has a closet that had everything in it.
It had a lot of categories going on in there. But
I did enjoy some of the pictures. Like was it like a prom picture or something you sent me? There was one from like when we were a kid.
Yes.
It was pretty exciting.
There are a lot of pictures in there. Yes. That's actually.
that was your homework.
Yes. I haven't done it yet. So
I
I
forgot about it.
I did buy a container though. I bought a container so she and I can go through and
Nice.
and I'm gonna label all of her little boxes and get them nice and organized for her. That'd be good.
I got to watch some of the VHS footage, so that was fun.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was VHS home videos in there, which we're gonna put online, and so I'll share them with you.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so good.
yeah.
But yeah, so she did so good. She was very good about selecting items that she knew she wasn't going to need anymore or that we could part with. And Ashley was the muscle and helped do the things for us. And yeah, it was a good time.
I think it was really good because I think because you were on the phone, she was prepared to let things go. I think if she and I had been there alone, I think it would have been harder. But, she knew she had a mission. So it was great.
Oh, she did great. She
Well,
did
and it's
great.
a small space, so it was.
It is.
I know for her, like, that's always been a source of like stress when she's been there. Is because it's a small space. I think it's her only closet outside of like a bedroom closet.
It is.
So it really like has to function in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Which is perfectly fine. But I think just like some of the categories didn't really have good homes, so there were things kind of in multiple places. That's like, well, wait, why don't we put these things together then? At least then we know kind of where everything is at. So, yeah, it was even just pulling things out to see what was in there. I think we found things that she didn't know she had anymore, and yeah, it's always fun digging in closets.
yeah,
We had a good laugh also because there were boxes in there from when I ordered clothes when I was a teenager.
Really?
And so we laughed really hard because there were boxes in there that were like 20 something years old. Like
That's impressive.
it was great. Yeah.
and then I think the other thing we wanted to talk about was our kids because that's fun. Kids' rooms in
Kids' rooms.
particular. Yes.
The chaos.
Always
Yes.
spotless. Oh, wait, what?
Man, I think that so between you and me, like we run the gamut of, I think you have one that's like super neat and organized. We have one here that's the opposite of neat and organized, who like will help her clean her room, and a day later we're like, what happened? Like, and so, and then I think our other ones are like kind of in the middle, like, like
So you've got the bell curve, the classic bell curve
for sure
happening.
Yeah, because like I know like with one of mine, like he's pretty neat and organized. He can let go of some stuff, but also you walk in and his cello's just laying in the middle of the floor. And you're like, why is that a good space for for a musical instrument? And he's like, I don't know. I was using it and I just left it there.
I just set it down.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What about like the corner where it was before? I guess I could put it there. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I know you have one that like is really good at like putting her stuff away, getting rid of stuff when she's done with it. And I think you've done a lot of teaching her.
You're talking about my oldest or
Yeah.
youngest? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, so my kids are very different because the oldest her room was always a disaster. And so I spent a lot of time taking all the toys off of the shelves and out of bins and everything. We'd put it all in the middle of the floor, and then we'd organize it and categorize it and do all the things so it was nice and neat. And then a day or two later, it would just be chaos again. But as she's gotten older and we've done it more and more, she can now do it by herself. But my youngest is just a minimalist. We just went to Michael's, and I was like, that's really cool. And she's like, yeah, that's really neat. And then I would say, oh, do you want it? And she'd go, no. So she just doesn't want anything. So then she doesn't have to clean anything.
There's something to
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. So a couple things that I find with kids, first of all, is I think sometimes we like to over categorize things for them, and that's just not where their brains are at, right? Like, no, they just need simple. So like, I like cars go in this bin, maybe planes go in this bin. Like, no, just anything with wheels
Toys.
goes in here, right?
Yeah.
Or toys, whatever.
Yep.
And then there's also this thing, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast or not, but like a clutter threshold is a term that's kind of been thrown around in the organizer world. And I feel like kids have a very low clutter threshold, basically of stuff that they can like manage.
Yes.
And there's some adults that have very low clutter thresholds, and sometimes different rooms have different clutter thresholds. And just kind of like being aware of that and knowing like, okay, I just can't personally manage all of these things. That's okay, and that can be a good enough reason to not have as many things. And I know that can be a whole nother process to kind of go through mentally and deal with all of that, but your youngest got it, man. Like, listen, I don't want to spend the time dealing with it. It's not worth me having it.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It makes me laugh because she likes toys. She likes all of these things, and if she really, really wants something, she'll take really good care of it. But versus my oldest, who wants everything, and then it gets overwhelming. So, but with the holidays coming up, we have a tradition every year before Thanksgiving. We do a big clean out in their rooms, and so we have to fill a couple boxes of stuff to donate, stuff to get rid of, so that we can prepare for Santa to come and for more stuff to come in. And so that's been a really good tradition. So they're thoughtful about that, and they know it's coming up, so they start to think about what they can get rid of. So that's been really good to manage some of that clutter.
So I have a question for you on that. So like, I don't have kids. My sister and brother-in-law, they have 4, so I get to be the fun aunt and kind of do this by proxy. But that was something that I guess was curious about. Like, when did you start that tradition? And do you think there's a certain point where it's just too late to start that? Like, if a parent has younger-ish kids or maybe elementary school, like, is it too late to start putting that into your yearly traditions?
I don't think so. So for me, I never wanted to be the parent that just went in and cleaned everybody's rooms. I wanted them to have some say, and I wanted them to learn how to do it and to develop that skill. And I also I never know what is sentimental and what's not. You can never underestimate how sentimental that little tiny note or that little tiny plastic dinosaur is. And so especially with my oldest, like if we're going through her stuff, I'll pick up something and I'll say, keep or get rid of. And she'll say, Mom, so-and-so gave that to me in 3rd grade. And it was, like she could tell me the whole story behind it. And I would have no idea because And so, no, I think we started doing it with her when she was maybe 4 or 5. And because that's also when the toys just started to get overwhelming. Everything started to get overwhelming. And so we started to have this tradition of kind of going through everything. We take every toy out of every nook and cranny, and we put it all in the middle, and then we sort it out, and we put only the stuff back that we're going to keep, and it's worked really well. So, and they don't fight it anymore. And we do it, we time it strategically. We do it in the morning so that it's, everybody's fresh. I have a big cup of coffee. We're all in sweatpants. We set the mood, and it works really well. So I don't think you can be too old to learn that. I think that's,
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. So many things what you said. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so good. So going back, so being able to even just like teach them these skills, I think that's what's so important. So often, we just tell kids like, well, go clean your room. Mm-hmm. What does that even mean? Mm-hmm. We don't really like teach people how to do that. And so then we grow up and we're like, well, I need to clean the house, but I don't know I'm just like shuffling things back and forth, right? So being able to teach your kids these skills while they're younger so they can have those throughout their whole life, that's just amazing. So I applaud you for that. So something else you mentioned, you started when they were like 4 or 5. And then you said it's, now it's not a big deal, but those first couple of years, if you can go back and remember that. So what was that like? Was there tears? Was there like, can you speak to the parents out there that maybe want to start this as a tradition, but just know that there's going to be some battles ahead?
So 2 things. I think one, letting them know where the items are going. So having a bag of trash, that is just clearly trash. And then having a donate bin and talking about what you're going to do with those things. So we always talk about, we're very privileged. We have some of these things that, not everybody has. And so when we're done with something, we can donate it and somebody else can use it. And I think that makes them feel good about it. So it's not just going in the trash, it's going somewhere else for another kid to use. And then also thinking about their attention span. I think it took us a long time to build up to an attention span where we could do this type of project for more than 15 minutes. But even when they were tiny, sitting for 15 minutes and going through, let's go through stuffed animals. Let's go through stuffed animals. When you're done with stuffed animals, you can take a break and go play. And then, in a half an hour, we're going to come back and we're going to do, all the tiny things that are all over, the floor, just kind of putting them in a bin together and making sure we're keeping only what we want to keep. So really kind of breaking it up helped a lot.
Well, I think it's important too to all focus on what the expectations are, right? I think as a parent, sometimes you're like, I want all of this stuff gone, right? But like you said, like they're attached for different things for different reasons. And, I know if my, so our dad is here right now. If he just started throwing away my stuff, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, this is my stuff, right? Like, you can't just throw my stuff out, right? So, I think, kind of being able to work with them on, if you're going to give them the choice, give them the choice. You know, if you're not going to give them the choice, then, maybe it's better to, because I've done some of the, like, let's take some stuff I know they haven't touched in forever and put it in the basement. And it was still in the basement in 6 months. When we do that donation run of stuff they donated, that stuff might go too, right? And so, like, even for Jackson, he was out of his action figure phase, but now he's doing stop motion. So now he wants action figures again. He's like, Dad, where are all those action figures go? And I'm like, shoot, let's go buy some new action figures, son. And so, it happens with a majority of the stuff that, like, he hasn't touched in forever. It goes up here to the loft so that other kids can play with it. And then when nobody's playing with it anymore, it goes to the basement. And then when everybody's forgot about it, it goes, right? But we do a lot of the, like, let's go through your stuff so you can make some decisions, because I think that's important. So, but I think if you're trying to have them make the decision and then you're like, you don't play with this, it just needs to go. Right. That's when it gets very traumatic for them, right? And that's when they don't enjoy it anymore. They're not learning anything. It becomes a very dreaded moment for them. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think you as a parent have to really lean into it and consider this time you're spending with your kids. That's quality time that, everybody's contributing, and it's good, positive, time to just get something accomplished together. So I think that's really important. But I like the making space for new stuff too, right? I mean, there's the excitement of the stuff that's coming, and and probably the relief of, like, okay, now's the time for me to start getting rid of this. And when it is a tradition, they're thinking about it all the time too. Right. So they are.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm grateful that we've done that. And I can look at my oldest now and say, okay, why don't you go clean up your space and, put some stuff away? And she will. And she'll put her tablet on with TV and she'll kind of putter in her room. And then I go in and it's actually, the floor is clean. I can see everything. The dresser's still cluttered, but that's okay. She's doing it herself. So it's really nice.
I love that.
Yeah, when we were kids, the threat was, if you don't clean it, your grandma will. And I love our grandma, and she was amazing, but she washed our clothes on hot, like super hot, and dried them on super hot. So if you didn't do your own laundry, your clothes got very small, very fast. and then our grandma would decide what was garbage and what wasn't. And
most of the time, it was all garbage.
Yeah, and so we knew on Fridays when she came, our rooms better be clean, our laundry better be done. And she didn't do it to be mean. She did it because she wanted to help us.
Sure.
And we weren't going to tell her not to help us. And so we just made sure it was done before she got there. So
I do remember a time, though, that my room was pretty bad. I'm fairly certain there's a picture, video out there somewhere of like 2 feet of stuff through my entire bedroom. Because I know Dad used to get really mad.
Well, in our defense, our rooms were really small. Like really small.
They were. Yes,
so
when we were really young.
So my room, when I was young, I had a twin bed and it touched both walls. And then I had a dresser, like a regular dresser next to it, and the door didn't completely open. It hit the dresser.
That is a small room.
So when our kids, when they see like our rooms, I'm always, and then our dad, when we left, like he took out the wall in between and made it one room. So our kids are like, oh, it's a small room. And we're like, yeah, we had half of this.
Yeah, they used to be 2 rooms.
Like you see that beam right there? That was where there was a wall. So yeah. So that, I think that's where like a lot of our like, kind of feeling overwhelmed sometimes by stuff comes from. We didn't have a lot of space growing up for all that stuff, and so, the amount of space that our kids have now versus the amount of space we had is very different.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. Because we could have taken all of our toys, put them in the middle of the floor, and then would have been probably 15 minutes to put it all back.
That's right. That's right. I love though, so when we're getting rid of stuff or we're putting stuff away, I like to think about the stuff that I have still from when we were kids. Yeah. Like all of my Beanie Babies, right? I put all that stuff. I put that all in a bin.
There's something that every house has. Yeah. As I'm doing this, I feel like there's like a bingo chart. It's a bag of bags.
Yes.
And whether that is plastic bags or totes, there's always some sort of bag of bags. That's what he told me.
Yeah, you can't get them in New York, so.
It doesn't matter. It could be a bag of totes. It's still a bag of bags. Yeah. Beanie Babies is also another thing. Like every home has the bin of Beanie Babies somewhere.
They're in my daughter's
so
room
funny.
Now. So
there you go.
I saved those. Amazing. But like Barbie stuff too. I mean, I had a whole big bin of Barbie stuff when I was little. That once I outgrew it, my parents put it in a big bin and put it out in the garage, and I was able to give that to my daughters now. So I do think about some of that when they're getting rid of stuff. If they've outgrown it, I try to think, is this something cool that, isn't going to take up a ton of space that we can, save for them for later. But I also try to be very conservative in that because I don't want to save everything.
That could take up everything.
It can literally take up our whole house. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I feel like I'm the same way. I have like a bin. And I think what's interesting is the older he gets, I look back at some of the stuff I saved when he was like in kindergarten, right? Which was every piece of anything he did.
Single piece of paper.
And then you look back at it like 10 years later or 8 years later and you're like, all right, this isn't as important as I thought it was going to be, right?
Yes.
But so then I'll like get rid of some of that stuff, but I'm like, all right, this piece of art is like the thing that I felt like, like,
summarize that time of,
wear this baseball cap or like, his first soccer jersey, right? But I don't have to save every soccer jersey, but the first one is pretty cute. So, no, I agree. I feel like, you have to find that balance. And even going through our mom's closet, right? Like, bring this back to her closet. But, yeah, I mean, there was some cool stuff in there. Like, you were sending me pictures. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think the box of pictures that she has, I'm really excited to go through that. I think that's going to be just really neat.
Yeah, and I'm excited to go through all the VHS and all these videos. So, yeah.
Very fun.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it, right? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, anything else that you feel like parents need to know out there if they want to give this a go? Not everything in general. Oh my gosh. Here's just
talk about overwhelming.
Yeah. Here's everything you need to know as a parent.
All right, on
this topic. Anything else that you feel like is really important for them to know that we didn't talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, other than like if someone is going to try to start, this tradition of going through everything once a year, I think it's really important to remember that how you feel about that activity is how they're going to feel about it. And if you go in anxious and tense, they will be anxious and tense. But if you go in kind of like, big cup of coffee and sweatpants, we're going to do this together, it's going to be fun, then they'll make the most of it and just kind of, take breaks when you need to. That's all there is to it.
I love it. Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful and maybe gained a couple of things that maybe you can try at your house. But even if it's rough the first couple of years, stick with it, right? Like it's worth it.
Yes,
so,
it is worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That was great.
Thank you for having me.
When your next career becomes children's room organizer,
oh boy,
you can bring it right back to this podcast.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Well, this has been another episode of What the Junk, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Again, I'm Jen.
And I'm Brad.
And our lovely guest, Ashley. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Gotta do our thing. What the Junk.